into a tabla
None of us know
cyborg,
what we do.
just a particle
putting
vibrating
a
is how
bunch
I
of
started.
sensors on
Um,
myself,
I
on
started
my
studying about it, trying to
head, on my
understand what the
hands, on
physics
my
is, how
fingers as
much
well. I
screen
want
I
to
need to
put
take around it. If it goes
accelerometers
out of screen, how do I reset it?
on the
Um,
fingers to like more
so with that, I
to
made
have more
this
fine-grained
where
input
each
information that I can
particle is
work
just
with
bouncing
to
off all the four corners of the wall, and
yeah, trigger stuff with
it
that.
looked like
Hi everyone, I am Satyarth. Like I said before, I was born and raised in Moscow, where I currently am as well. And my background is pretty technical. My bachelor's is in physics, and then I moved on to um, machine learning, which I recently finished my PhD in the applications of machine learning in genetics. And uh, that's just the sort of general nerdy background that my creative coding practice emerged from. And where did it all start? It all started when I saw a Twitter link to Hydra, somewhere in sometime in 2019, and it just captivated me. I opened it once, I looked around, like this is cool, and then every couple of days I would go back, I would poke around, it would just keep pulling me. And after about half a year of that, poking around with it every couple of weeks, just a bit now and then, um, I found out about this whole algorave thing. And I found out that there was an algorave being uh, organized in my city, in Moscow. And despite having never done this kind of thing before, I thought, okay, why not? Why not? I should try and perform. And I pushed myself to do visuals, even with the not too many skills that I had, because I don't know, Hydra makes it very simple to just get up and start doing it. So that was the start of it all about 5 years ago in 2020. And since then, I would uh, just poke around in Hydra, but also volunteer to do visuals a lot at different music events, uh, whether it's just a friend who's DJing at a bar or like small underground uh, concerts with bands I like playing. I would just keep like showing initiative, offering to do this thing. And with time, over a couple of years, I got pretty comfortable with it. I felt out the space of possibilities that Hydra has, and like understood what kind of stuff I'm interested in doing with Hydra. Visuals was my first entry into live coding. But my main interest artistically has always been sound. I'm a big music guy, and uh, in fact, in the beginning, I was kind of frustrated that I get uh, invited to do visuals a lot more than sound, mainly because I think there's less competition in the visual space. Like everybody and their grandmother is a kind of musician doing their own music, wanting to play concerts, but the amount of people wanting to do visuals at these concerts is much less. So just because of that demand, I sort of did that more. But my heart has always been on the sound side of things. And at the same time as I got into Hydra about 5 years ago, I also tried out tidal cycles. And with a coding background, it was fairly intuitive and it blew my mind. But at the same time, I couldn't actually make sounds that I liked. I could play around, I could have these experiments, but I didn't have the um, I don't know, intuition or experience to actually make sounds that are pleasing to the ear with tidal cycles. And I took a long break from tidal cycles, during which I was mainly playing around with VCV rack, and then I came back to tidal cycles. And after this period of mainly focusing on VCV rack and coming back, uh, learning a few things about music theory, about the basics of synthesis, coming back to tidal cycles was really good. Um, and combining tidal cycles with digital audio workstations and with VCV rack made it a lot easier for me to get some pleasing sounds out of it. Uh, on the sound side, I'm also a tabla player. I've been playing for almost 6 years, and my main music project, which I call Trophylaxis, is trying to combine tabla with a range of other, mostly electronic sounds. And at the core of it, it's about collaborating with different people and having a kind of mutual exchange between what we're doing. So the word trophallaxis, it's um, ants feeding each other, or social insects like ants, honeybees, they all do this thing. So yeah, and I really like this as a concept, kind of exchange and mutual aid and interdisciplinary stuff. So in the tabla, you have like these two drums. You have daya and baya, which give bassy and trebly sounds, and there's this sort of interplay between them. Um, so yeah, that's where this name prophylaxis comes from. And my goal is to kind of see how far I can go with integrating tabla with other um types of sounds that you might not think it can be mixed with that well. So, okay, you take your standard electronic dance music, you have a beat, you can slap some classical instruments on top of it, but um, uh, but it's not exactly always harmonious, and it's just kind of thoughtless mixing of two things. And I want uh, to make things where the tabla, it's not just a kind of decoration, just a kind of exotic sample that's being used, but it's at the core of the sound that you're making. It can breathe the kind of classical style uh, is being shown, and it's inspired more by like classical tabla solo performances than taking some synths and then just slapping tabla sounds on top of them. So um, I also uh, like integrating tabla with the live coding thing. So with visuals and with sounds to have a setup where I have uh, a separate mic on each drum, and I can modulate different things with the two different microphones. Yeah, okay, so that's about sounds, but let's step back into visuals for a second. I want to show you guys a couple of examples. Uh, I'll just play them from Instagram. I hope that's fine and you can hear them. Uh, this Okay, so what's that? It's using Hydra with a camera as input, and the camera is aimed at an agarbatti. And it's a very simple feedback sort of patch where you have this buffer that's just scrolling to the left, and you're taking the bright parts of the image from the camera and overlaying it on top. So you have this kind of dancing agarbatti smoke that's being overlaid onto itself, and it's kind of tracing itself through time. So this is like one of the first and most successful Hydra experiments. I do Hydra with a friend of mine. His name is Lyosha. We're this team where I'm the Hydra coding guy, and he takes care of some kind of physical things like camera work, setting up mini installations, and with combining our skills, we do our visuals under the name of Cactus Juice. That's the identity we have. And yeah, so we like doing things like this where you take some kind of physical thing going on, you point a camera at it, and you use that as a source for these Hydra feedbacks and modulations. So this was agarbatti smoke, but we also like to use uh, like liquids, mixing, um, so another example is okay here. Here there's this thing with water and bubbles and oil. Or some more smoke action. This is smoke together with lasers. Yeah, so that's kind of what we do. Take these physical things happening in real life, then point a camera at them, and we're kind of using uh, physics or nature as our shader engine because it's like very powerful. It doesn't heat up or crash too much, and we can piggyback off of it, feed it into Hydra, set up some feedbacks and modulations, and get some interesting things happening. And the most fun is when you blur the line between what's going on in the physical process and what's going on with the Hydra feedback. So here's a poster I did for a Hydra workshop at Paper Crane at PCL actually. That was last year, almost a year ago, where the input is just a static video of waves crashing on the beach. And then I have some feedbacks and modulations going on that are also like very wavy, inspired by, this wave coming in and then the sand moving back with the water. And then you have this part of the buffer that's kind of moving like the sand as well. So blurring the line between what you're inputting, the actual physical thing happening, and this feedback modulation process going on in Hydra. Um, so yeah, that's about the visuals as a separate thing, and um, I'll tell you about a couple of projects that I did that combine these interests. So Most recently, which is just this week, I recorded a set. I'll just play a bit for you. Okay, and I'll just forward a bit. Okay, so what's going on here? This is something that I was working on for a long time and took me a while to record that combines so many of my interests, the tabla playing, the live coded sounds, the modular synth stuff, as well as, of course, the visuals. And I call this overall thing the tal spiral. So tal is rhythm in Indian classical music, and you can see this thingy at the center that shows you how the time cycle is going along and like various divisions of the time cycle. So the red thing, it's going at what we would call like single speed, and then the green thing is twice as fast, so it completes a whole cycle in half the time as the red thing. And then the blue thing is again twice as fast, and the white thing is the fastest. So one revolution of this red thing and this sweeping arm is one whole cycle of the 16 beat time cycle that I'm playing in. And there's these mysterious symbols appearing near this near this arm, and so that was my attempt at transcribing what I'm playing as I'm playing it. So the transcription is very crude. I have a mic on each drum, and I'm essentially detecting two kinds of hits. Um, tonal tonal hits where you strike it and let it resonate. So on the right drum, it would be the the classical sound of tabla, the ta, and on the left drum, it would be the bassy ge. And then there's the thuds, so the slaps. The slaps are crosses, and the tonal hits are circles. And that's happening for each drum individually. And you put them together, and you get this spiral that is essentially a live transcription of what you were playing. And uh, Why do I think it's cool? I think that Indian classical music is amazing. I've been listening to it not since childhood, but for a lot of years. And uh, I think anyone can appreciate it, that it's beautiful, that there's some intricate, delicate stuff going on there. But at the same time, I think you need to be a little immersed um, to actually appreciate some of the things that are going on. So unless you're like a dedicated listener or a musician, there's this barrier between just appreciating the sounds versus actually um, actually having a grasp of what's happening. And there's a lot of things going on which are very nerdy, very mathematical, a lot of modular arithmetic, um, yeah, so um, um, for example, there's a thing called the tihai, where you conclude a composition by taking a part of it and repeating it three times so that the last hit of the last repetition falls on the first beat of your time cycle. And that's something that you feel when listening, because there's this kind of built up tension when these repetitions shift off from the time cycle and then come back, and this tension is released when it concludes with the first hit of the time cycle. But maybe not a completely unprepared listener, but someone who knows what to look out for can hopefully see this spiral thing, see the patterns there, and work out, huh, okay, this is going on now, and this is what was going on one or two time cycles earlier, and kind of connect things. And yeah, so this spiral thing, that's one projection. There's also a second projection on myself and the drums. This green, red, and blue thing, and that's also modulated by um, um, the microphones that are on each individual drum. So when I like slap one, that will get brighter. And you can see these LED strips also going on, which are triggered by the hits. So the whole system is just a couple of separate modular parts that are connected together. So at the heart of it is detecting these hits, for which I use VCV rack actually. I detect these hits and try to classify them as tonal or atonal, or the thuds. And yeah, I can go a bit deeper into this later if someone's curious. But that's one part of the system, and then it's sending out MIDI and OSC signals to different things. So the LED strips, they work over OSC. They just receive OSC messages over the network. The spiral visuals, that also receives OSC messages from VCV rack. And my digital audio workstation, it's also using these OSC messages. So a bit further on, I have an example. Let's just listen to it for a bit. Yeah, one sec. So in this thing that I'm gonna play now, the tabla is actually triggering some synthesizers. So there's synths that are in the digital audio workstation, and um, um, when I strike the right drum, then that triggers one of two synths, and that actually looks at a live coded pattern and grabs the note and pitch information from there, and uh, and plays it. So you're using your hands, your hits as the trigger, but the notes are taken from a live coded thing in tidal cycles. So yeah, you're kind of just like controlling the rhythm and the time, and the algorithm is taking care of the tonality and actually playing notes. So I'll play that. Sorry. Yeah, so this was an example of a work that combines the live coding interests with the tabla thing, and I will share another project that I worked on called um, Cadence Clock. Um, to explain, before I start explaining it, I'll just show one video that'll hopefully clarify a lot of things. Uh, Oops. Yeah. Okay, so what's going on here? The cranks of the bike are spinning, and that's triggering some sounds in the synthesizer. I have VCV rack running on my laptop here, and um, there's 16 magnets attached to the chainring that's spinning, and a sensor on the frame of the bicycle, just a Hall effect sensor that senses the magnetic field and gives out trigger or gate signals to the synthesizer. And we can use this rotation essentially as a kind of clock for any synthesizer, and have sounds that are always coordinated with your motions. So I'm a kind of cycling fanatic, maybe even extremist, some would say. And uh, I am specifically into fixed gear bicycles where there's no changing gears, and there's no free wheel either. So you can't just pedal and then stop pedaling and coast. If the bike is moving, then the pedals have to be moving, and you can brake by like forcefully trying to stop the pedals as well. And I think this is a really fun type of cycling, and one where you're very connected with the bicycle. So there's this like constant, uninterrupted rhythm that's going on because your legs are always moving, and you don't have any gears to, yeah, to change the gear ratio. So it's just very visceral and connected. And one day I was cycling, and my bike was making some squeaky sounds, but it was squeaking completely synchronized to my movements, to my pedaling. I thought, hey, this is cool. This is like music that's completely synchronized to my motion all the time. What if we could do this for not just unintended squeaking and creaking from the bicycle, but for like actual tracks? And that's where this was born. So I made this tiny Arduino-based controller, recorded this video, then didn't do anything with it for a while. But then with a couple of cycling friends, we tried to take this idea forward. I have a friend whose name is Rob, who is Armenian, and he was working with a uh, uh, kind of arts and technology festival called Silent, which is global. They do exhibitions all around the world, but for their event in happening in Armenia, we submitted an application, and we actually got accepted to try and realize this as a real-time performance. First, I'll show you just as an example the combination of this bike synth idea with other sounds and with Hydra visuals.
Я сперва рабочий тот перепутал. Пропустил один поворот. Да.
Okay, so this is an example where we recorded this video with the cycling, and we recorded the sensor information, and then we kind of combined it later in a live performance, but using recorded materials. And we're like, okay, let's just see how far we can take this thing. Can we do everything live? Can we add more sensors so it's not just the movement of the pedals? That's an input modulation. Whether we can use other movements as well, like a gyroscope and an accelerometer that is like that's sonifying the rider's overall movements. So that's where the idea of Karen's clock was born, and this was the aim of our performance. It was very ambitious. In hindsight, I can say a little too ambitious. So this is a kind of setup with module for getting this clock information from the movement of the pedals and chainring down here, and then an accelerometer somewhere in the handlebars, so when you're turning it modulates things, all going to a microcontroller, which sends this information over an antenna, and then there's like a camera as well, which is trying to do live video. And this is a very overcomplicated setup. I'll show you the promo video that we recorded first.
Готов?
Okay, so yeah, that was a promo video, and uh, let's get to the horrifying part, our technical setup, which is this jumbled mess, which is a lot of things happening on the bicycle. Um, so yeah, information from the cadence sensor, the gyroscope going to a microcontroller, and um, um, initially, I wanted to have all the signals be analog, the sensor signal, as well as the video signal that we're transmitting live. I thought that, okay, this is a live performance. We don't want any delays. We don't want any possibility of internet messing up. So let's make life harder for ourselves and try to stick to analog. So I came up with a very um, um, indirect way of transmitting these signals, which is to encode them into audio and then transmit it over a walkie-talkie. So the information from this clock, which is just basically beep 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 beep, that's happening at different rates. That and the motion of the bike from the gyroscope. Um, um, so the gyroscope gives out like a MIDI control signal that's continuous, and those are modulating signs of different frequencies. So when your bike is kind of tilting, it goes like wee, wah, and it's being demodulated at the receiving end. So yeah, just a very, very complicated setup, which was this thing, which is just an Arduino with a gyroscope attached to it, on this kind of thing that you put on your head. So if you see like, well, any music performances, but especially uh, Indian classical instrumental performances, the players, their head movements are very expressive. Their like body will be stable and their hands are doing their thing, but their heads will be all over the place and like expressing things. Yeah. So I wanted to find a way to convert this expressiveness into sounds as well. So this thing, it just is essentially a MIDI controller like any other MIDI controller, except it gives out these control signals related to movement, so you can modulate anything with it. Um, and yeah, you can like have an electronic track going on in the background, and modulate your synths with that, or you can modulate effects like add a bit of reverb or delay when you do a jerky motion with your head, or you can in fact just use it as a trigger as well. So like when you nod, it triggers a bass drum or something like that. So the possibilities are endless, and making the actual device was quite simple, but finding ways to use it that are kind of harmonious and cohesive is much harder, and I'm in the process of that. So long term, I have a kind of dream of making a music set that is basically me turning into a tabla cyborg, uh, putting a bunch of sensors on myself, on my head, on my hands, on my fingers as well. I want to put accelerometers on the fingers to like more uh, to have more fine-grained input information that I can work with to um, yeah, trigger stuff with that. Um, so there's this guy, Onyx Ashanti. He inspires me a lot. I'll just show you guys like a few seconds of his stuff. Um, like just watching this for 5 seconds is enough to understand the depths of deprivation that I want to go to. Yeah, so the Flex Sensors glove from the last meetup, I think this guy's is that idea taken to the maximum, and I want to be him when I grow up. Okay, so I think I've been talking long enough. I can talk about this stuff for hours, so let me stop myself there. And if you guys have any questions or want me to elaborate on something, then I'll be happy to do that.
That's um that was I can see your goals, and probably wouldn't need a tabla at the point where you have everything strapped onto yourself.
Yeah, but see, there's the challenge because you can make these like experimental electronic sounds, but I really want to find a way to blur the boundary between the like acoustic thing going on and the like completely artificial synthesized stuff. So just like with the visuals where you have physical things going on and then like feedbacks and modulations in Hydra, um, I want this to be a kind of this like very seamless psychedelic experience where it's not just it's not just the electronic stuff going on, but the like simple classical sound is at the heart of it. Uh, so yeah, very very ambitious goals, but
But
I have time.
I have a question, but how do you so I can see there are um lot of input that you can get from, like, let's say a flex module, or let's say the clock from the cadence clock as well.
Mhm.
Uh, but making it sound rhythmic or sound pleasant or as in a music is gonna be hard, right? Or like figuring out, okay, if I am
It
moving my head when I'm playing tabla, I'm moving my head, and and what if, like, I don't find the right axis or the values to modulate a certain parameter, like an LFO or something like that. It
yeah.
might not sound pleasant, is what I'm thinking, but I don't know if there is an approach for.
Uh, it's a really hard question and something that I'm like struggling to figure out as well. I guess it's all just experience and intuition and like first you gotta just waste a lot of time messing around with sounds that don't sound good, just to get that understanding of the space of possibilities and the simplest thing is just to modulate the cutoff frequencies of filters. That's a pretty universal move that I use everywhere. And but yeah, I don't know. There's no simple formula for that.
All right, I hope you actually pull it through. I want to see this.
Yeah, keep an eye on my journey to becoming a cyborg.
Guys, any questions?
I think everybody's brain is just a little too blown for asking questions right now.
Uh, about the tabla stuff and the tracking, or I think you were doing some segmentation of sounds, or at least recognition of sounds through VCV. Any reason why VCV?
Yeah, so I knew that this is something that I want to do to be able to separate the type of hits.
Mhm.
And so before you separate the types of hits, first you need to like actually recognize the hits, right? And in electroacoustic experimentation generally, when you're trying to use acoustic instruments with modular, the go-to way to do that is an envelope follower, which just looks at the loudness of the sounds and sends trigger or gate signals when it crosses that threshold, right? But I found that not flexible enough for my needs. So, for example, you like play a note and you don't mute it, it's still playing, but you play another one. So the volume never goes below some threshold, so it won't show up as a separate gate. So, in the beginning, I was thinking, oh, I'll need to use some fancy machine learning stuff going on in real time to classify them. But despite being a machine learning guy, yeah, I forgot to mention I actually hate technology and I like to keep things as simple as possible. So if I can avoid using machine learning, I'll try to do that. And a class of like classic DSP algorithms for this problem, for like taking sounds and detecting hits, is onset detection, where you're looking at various properties of the spectrum. So I understood these mathematically, but didn't understand how to code my own VST, for example, or like, yeah, how to have a convenient setup for using live. But VCV Rack is a tool that I'm pretty familiar with, and the core logic of onset detection. So this class of methods is called spectral flux based onset detection, where you're looking at different frequency bands and looking for sudden jumps in them. Uh, I basically just made a very simplified version of that in VCV Rack, just using modular like modules, and it worked pretty decently. So yeah, it's like a kind of low tech ghetto solution, but uh, but like works pretty well. And if you're like curious, I can share these onset detection patches. If anyone's curious, hit me up.
Definitely hit up the links if you can. But also, I mean, just in case, you're running a super collider as well on the side because of tidal cycles, right, for your setup. So
Um,
you
Yeah, so honestly, when I'm performing live with the whole tabla thing, uh, I do dead coding, not live coding. Okay, at the Algorave in Delhi, I force myself to, have all the code there and like actually be launching code with my hands. But generally, what I prefer to do is to use tidal cycles more as a compositional tool and record these things onto my uh, into my DAW just as clips, so that I can just press a button on the MIDI controller and move on to the next clip. Just because sadly I only have two hands and I can only play tabla or code sounds or tweak knobs or code visuals at the same time. And I would love to be a 6 or 8 armed Hindu god deity that's doing all of this at the same time. But yeah, I can't, so I have to take shortcuts. But yeah, I mean, um, I do use like the standard title with Super Collider for manipulating samples, but honestly, most of the time I'm using it as a compositional tool where I'm just too lazy to sit down and write out notes one by one. I can never do it. I have no idea how it's done. I would rather set up a system that does the hard work for me. So yeah, mostly I'm using Tidal as uh, um, a thing that outputs MIDI into my DAW and making the actual sounds in the DAW with VCV Rack or whatever.
no, like the suggestion was basically just to do the onset detection in Super Collider. You don't have to live code it.
Hmm.
So you can just set it up so that in case you do not want to run VCV rack and Super Collider and Hydra, and like, just consolidate. So just a
I
suggestion,
never
maybe try
thought
it
of
out.
that at all. Thank you for the suggestion. That would probably simplify the setup a bit and doing the stuff in code rather than tweaking these modular knobs in VCV Rack might be cool as well. So I'll explore it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, like you'll find a lot of people have very extensive tidal cycle setups. So for example, I've been using this repository I've been building for 7 years. Literally go on my profile, there's a tidal T and S is capital, so tidal setup. So like all my custom sins that I've been building for years, custom uh, OSC targets, which configure things like sometimes I'm side chaining, sometimes I'm loading samples on the fly. Uh, Sometimes I also want to dead code or uh, use controllers or things like if I'm using a MIDI controller, I don't want to sit there and type the whole damn CC number and whatnot. So if I'm using a launch control, I'll just literally say load launch control, and now I can put in the fader number. So fader 1, and I don't have to think about what CC number that was, those kind of things. So set up
That's
like
cool.
little
Can you
shortcuts
share
for
a
it.
link?
Yeah, I'll put the link to the. But you can make a similar thing for yourself. You can. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that Super Collider can do, which simplifies your setup. Essentially, that's the idea.
Hi, that was awesome, Satya. Let's move on to our next speakers. We can
Cool.
continue
Thanks
the
for
talk
having me.
we can continue the talk after the talks are done, and like we'll get on. We'll be open for chat. Okay. Any more doubts you can ask during my time? Cool. Let's go on with Nisha. Yeah. Cool. Nisha is from NID, and I caught Nisha and Siddhant conducting P5JS workshop, so I got them here to see to ask them to actually take workshops for us later on. But right now, we would like to see their work as well. Awesome. Yeah. Over to Nisha. Also offline learning. Let us speak.
So I got some coffee that I can brew fresh. I can use one.
I don't have.
I don't know how you're going to brew it. You don't have a kettle. I just need a kettle and a milk scale.
Okay, then later on after the talks. Cool.
Okay, so for me, P5JS started not exactly as P5JS, the editor, but as a small 2 weeks course of our second semester, which was Water as Memory. So I got into that course with very open mind. We got to learn about these big words that were thrown into at us, and I did not understand any of it. Like, what is going to happen? How am I going to navigate to it? So basically, we were given some of the tasks like draw on paper something related to water, write a diary entry of your first memory of water. We would lie down in the class and listen to just water and try to immerse ourselves in that experience. And it was fun. We went to different kind of lakes and took pictures to see how the ecosystems are and how different animals interact around the water. We made like a small collage to depict our journey. And then all of us, we drew, danced on the paper basically with colors on our college UD balcony. It was fun. But towards the end of this course, we had to give a deliverable of how your perspective was of this course and what is your takeaway. So at that time, I was struggling a lot because since I come from information background and I have just gotten into visuals, so I was like, how am I supposed to like explain it to others how that experience was for me? So I went to very basic chemistry of the water, like let's dive into the molecule level of it. And for that, I was looking into how to represent water molecules. And for some reason, I was like, okay, let's code since I have a background in coding. So I was like, it's fine, let's start with a single molecule. And that's what I did. This was my first code. I just made a single particle. Wait, I'll share this screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This. Just a particle vibrating is how I started. I started studying about it, trying to understand what the physics is, how much screen I need to take around it. If it goes out of screen, how do I reset it? Um, so with that, I made this where each particle is just bouncing off all the four corners of the wall, and it looked like water to me, sort of very at a very microscopic level, maybe it would look like this, but the feel was not there. So I started a little bit fiddling around with the code and I made it a little interactive. So every time you move your cursor, it gives you the flow of how the water interacts. But still, it was like the fluidity was still not there. It's still too geometrical. So I just tweaked a little bit of CSS and um, this was the final display. So a lot of people were like, if the sound was also there, if it was interacting with sound, it would have been much better. But since it was like a 2-3 day thing of a hustle, so I was like, okay, if I'm supposed to upgrade it or what do you call it? Yeah, try to upgrade it. Maybe that's when I'll introduce the sound. But this is what my output was of that assignment. I'll show you the setup. These were some of the iterations that I did, and this was the setup of the whole experience. There was an interactive board with a pen that where people could move around. Oh, oh my God. I have to share the screen again. So sorry, guys. Okay. This was the setup with all the paintings that I had done, my takeaways, all the scribbles that we did throughout the week, and a lot of people came and interacted with it, and that's when I got to know that in that semester only we have P5JS, the course from Rasagya. And I was like, oh, this is some, I did not get into P5JS knowing that there was a community around it. But as soon as people started seeing this, they started suggesting me, yeah, you'll be learning about this in Rasagya's class. So when Rasagya started his course, I tried recreating the Perlin noise. Yeah. So this was the Perlin noise that I just created. So each particle reacts to the mouse click and is reseeded to take a new position and move in random directions. So I've taken like 1,000 particles along this like along the canvas, and it just start again every time a particle moves away from this screen, it appears in random locations to again reseed and yeah. So this is literally what we did in our P5JS, and there are a few small projects. Maybe we can.
I think you're not logged in, Nisha. That's why you're not able to see
Yeah.
your sketches.
Yeah. So this was something that Rasagya was trying to teach us to show, like, move the mouse cursors and try to um, do the animations according to the cursor. So this was one of the experiments that I tried, and small projects that I got into that gave me a little push to explore more around it. So this is literally it. 95 years work.
Nice. Crazy. Did you have a presentation during the workshop?
We
We did exhibition.
exhibition.
Oh, you had it. Exhibition of these.
Yeah, exhibition of these.
Crazy. Now you like
I have a question for Nisha.
Yeah.
Nisha.
Um, I want to ask why you chose P5 or like code um, to make your final visual piece, let's say. Like I also see paintings and like other tools that you used, but why did you use code for the final piece?
Okay, so this coding is something that it's easier to understand for me, and it's quicker to get the outputs out there visually. Um, and a lot of people in the group, in the that batch, were making films, and they were making interactive exhibition. And I was like, what am I supposed to do in this? Like, how am I supposed to get something that the background that I come from, how do I present that to people? So I was like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's code it once and see if I'm able to do it or not. That's why I started with a very small particle to see if I can actually carry it forward. And surprisingly, coding helped a lot. So
I still remember how I started out similarly with making my website and using polymers. It is a
oh, it's actually very mesmerizing to just get into it, the Berlin noise. That was the first example that I saw for the particle movements, Berlin noise. And I was like, how can I like convert it into something that comes from whatever I want to visualize? So yeah.
this is the one that Anushka Rasika was saying that it got the Oscar, right? It's for polymers. Right? It's
Ooh,
for Tron. It's for Tron.
Ron, yes, I think so.
Crazy. Any other questions for Nisha?
Yeah, I have a question. What was your question about water? But like, what exactly?
Water as memory. So my goal was to give people the visual memory of how they interact with water, and how if I put the water in the surface, and if it is not it's how it interacts with something. Like if you take a pen and just spill water on the table, it just moves exactly how it was going on the screen. So that's the thing that I wanted to give people, just the experience.
No, but there are some things about water. People say that water has memory.
Water does have memory. That's what I thought of when I took this course. But it wasn't exactly like that. I could have gone for that as well.
Nice. Very cool. Sure. Okay. We can move on.
Yeah.
We can move on to Siddhant. So Siddhant is also was part of that P5 workshop. So let's look at his work as well.
So, yeah. So I will start with my like when this course was introduced to me, I never thought like I can imagine coding in such a different way because P5Js literally opened a new door for me. to imagine multiple things and to give a very, a very confident direction for coding. Like I have been doing coding for my past 3 years in my college, in my past job and all, but I never experienced coding when Rasagya taught us 2 5 years. So first thing I did was to make a self-portrait of myself using P5Js, which was this. Back in the day, I used to have long hair, so I made I made a self-portrait of myself over here, and so this was made by using just rectangles and ellipse, just by placing it. I took my reference photo. I started, sketching on it and making abstract shape out of it, and then I tried to, add another layer of that aha moment or that gloss to it. So this was one fun exercise what Rasagya told us to make a self portrait of ourselves. So this was my first attempt to P5Js. Then I made a paintbrush, a custom paintbrush that helps me to interact with mouse on P5Js. Let's say this is our canvas. We move. Then, yeah. So basically over here I'm using the random function where we randomize the whole placement or colors that have been coming to this. And the movement of the mouse I have kept diagonally this project. And using this, we once we exhibited it in the P5JS exhibition in our college, people were really playing with all this interactive things, and they were very curious to know how this complicated things can be made. But as you can see over here, it's just 23 lines of code using P5JS. So even I was fascinated, like this is something new and very easy to grasp on. Then I made this. So my favorite art moment, I would say, is surrealism. And one of the popular artists, there are many like Dali is there and all, but my favorite is Rene Magritte, who inspires me a lot. And one of his painting was son son of a child and Golconda, which inspired this artwork. So I mean, this most popular painting you guys know. I'll show you. It's this one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your friend got a watch on.
And this one, the Golconda one, where he drawn hundreds of men falling like rain from sky. So I was really inspired by that, and I wanted to recreate it on P5. So this was my attempt to do that. Then, then yeah, then one day, I was just like, whenever my whole point of coming to the creative field was that I wasn't able to express the way I, on paper or with paint. But once I got this new medium of P5Js, I was able to express it. So one fine night, I woke up 4 o'clock middle of the night, and I'm like, I want to make something. Then on P5Js, and then I thought about in my childhood when I used to use Windows XP system, there used to be media player, and media player used to have good visuals. Like for on music, there used to be very good visuals. And I thought, let's try to recreate something of that sort using P5Js. So I started exploring, and I made somewhere something music visualization thing over here. Just this one. I'll play a music. So what I'm So what I'm using over here is just the microphone of my laptop to catch the pitch of the music. And based on that, I'm trying to modulate it. As I'm speaking also, it is still moving here. So yeah, this was interesting, and this was done using not just P5JS, but I also use 3JS library in this.
Oh,
As I am getting the access to that access now. Yeah. P5 you can combine with others also like two. So P5 is basically 2D. You have two access, but if you want to go three-dimensional, you use 3JS. You get access to that Z.
actually, there is, if I'm not wrong, Anushka, we can do 3D in P5, right? Just 3JS is way more sophisticated in terms of lighting and materials and cameras and stuff, isn't it?
We can do 3D in P5. Yes. But I think let's Siddhant talk about his stuff and then we do questions.
Then I was more interested in making visuals related to music. So yeah, this one is which will move same using microphone. Then I just had to add rhythm to it, and some other variables like size can be reduced, rotation is there, all those things. Then generative, there was this one professor who came from London to taught us, Prashanta Datta. He's from NID. So he taught us QGIS, and one interesting thing he showed us was generative art, like how using coding they do generative art on every fresh run. They get a new format of pattern and all. So I tried experimenting with that too. Like this one, I took a color palette and I took waves and I tried to modulate it. So on every new refresh or run, it will give you a new pattern. So next step to this was why not combine this with music, the same thing again. So this was my attempt. So it won't be clear over here because we have the sound of the fan and all. But once the room is silent, this lines will go very straight. And once the noise is there, it will start creating waves. Then the same thing I did it over here too. This project where it's based on music only. This is more, visible that when the sound is off, it shrinks down. So not just P5JS, from P5JS now I have moved on to exploring more 3JS, and then I made this project, which was a college project. College actually, so college wanted to visualize from all the parts of the world, how are we getting MOUs and what is our reach in the world. So I got the data from college. Then we made a geo visualization out of it. We ourselves tried to get all the geotag locations, and using 3JS we actually using 3JS, so there wasn't any globe available which showed a map of India, politically correct map of India, and president was going to be on that convocation. So we are like, we can't mess this up. So we custom made it. We custom made the map in QGIS. Then we took a sphere in 3JS and we wrapped that image around it. So this is that. So we had to go through a lot of steps. And yeah, basically these are just geo visualization. If you click on any point, you get to know the information out of it. And the color, the font, everything was given by the team. They had a set language. And yeah, there are legends. And this was a collaborative project. I did this with a bachelor student. who was in Ahmedabad, exhibition design, and my classmate Madhvi Sharma, who helped me in creating the visual language more clear. So yes,
I can see like fresh starts of P5 and like creative coding journeys. Yeah, that's happening here. Pretty exciting. Any questions for Siddhant?
Not a question, but I just really loved the self-portrait. It's a very unique style, and I like what you do with like so many limitations of just using the rectangles with rounded corners. It's really cool. I can tell your surrealist inspirations.
thank you.
Yeah, self-portrait was really good. So I have a question on
Yeah.
like, so you said you're using 3JS um for the 3D visuals. Are you using a different sound library or are you using P5 sound library?
No, I'm not using any sound libraries. I'm using microphone of my.
No, to like so you need to do a P5 dot sound.
Yeah, yeah,
Sound.
yeah. So I'm using the P5 functions
Huh.
of sound. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using FFT.
Yeah.
Yeah, to just modulate. This is just a basic. I haven't went into, splitting all the waves and
Yeah, because it only
individually-
gives you one modulation value, right?
Yeah, I'm just currently working on that. I am like willing to explore more into it. I haven't given time to that.
When I was trying to do
Yeah.
something similar, I couldn't split
The
the waveforms to different ways. If anybody suffered, like, yeah, I think I will know. You have written something? Oh, two separate. Kind of have okay. I mean, basically drawing like a spectrogram. Well, even in Satyarth's presentation, when like you were showing the tabla and um the spiral video, you had like visuals popping up in the hand while you're playing the tabla. Some were circles, some were slashes, somewhere different. Were there a pattern like formed by the music itself, or how are you?
Well,
Yeah.
it's a projection, uh, like I literally mounted it on.
No,
Yeah.
no, not
Sorry.
about the project. Sorry, the circles and the different patterns that you had,
Mhm.
they popped up in like random fashion, or like it almost
No,
felt like it was
it's
reacting to the sound.
it's related. So when you have like when you
Yeah.
have a then that's a circle, and when you have a slap, like then that's a cross.
We don't hear the tabla, Satyarth.
How?
Okay.
It's fine, but how did you differentiate both?
So yeah, that was a system that I made in VCV rack. Essentially, you're just every time there's a trigger, you're looking at the loudnesses of different frequencies. And since it's tuned to a specific frequency, I can say that, oh, okay, if this frequency is louder than that one, then it's probably this type of hit. If this frequency is louder than that one, it's this type of hit. So it's this kind of very simple rules-based system. In code, it would essentially be an if-else condition, but it's implemented in VCV rack as this modular thing.
If you have any resources for that, can you share on the group? So like
Uh,
everyone.
yeah, I was thinking I should write a tutorial for this thing or just share the
That'll be the
patch.
best.
Actually, I can just share the VCV rack patch, but I'll try to like write it up and share it in Creative Coding India group in the near future.
That's awesome. Cool.
I also have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So you guys had to make the map from scratch. How did you do that? Did you use 3JS? Was 3JS just to like display it and you use some other methods to make it?
Yeah, so there is a website called as naturalearth.com, which will give you the TIFF format file of map. You can also get vector format of that file. So what we did was we took that file. There is a software called as QGIS. Part of that software is very free to use. So in QGIS, we imported that file and then we stylized it. We exported that SVG. We took this further on Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. Then we furthermore, try to visually make it correct. And then we took just the JPEG and using the code, we just wrapped around the sphere.
Like UV wrapping.
Yeah,
But your input is like a rectangle that's wrapped onto this sphere.
yeah.
It's UV wrap.
Okay.
It's
Mhm.
The last step was just the projection, but it started with like QGIS, which actually is used for satellite imagery
Yeah,
access.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, there's this guy named Sebastian Lage. He does these YouTube visuals called Coding Adventures. His recent one was about making realistic Earth. So I'll send the link.
Oh, you made a game out of it.
Oh yeah, with no,
Yeah, I was insane.
he wanted to make his fluid simulation in that world. It was pretty cool. I'll share that. Cool. We have very little time for pair programming right today. We had overshot on docs. Anushka, any idea? Do we split in the offline and online section?
Yeah, we can do that. We can take a picture with everyone before that. And also, there's
yes.
tons of questions in the chat for people who are in. I don't see your face, or we didn't see Siddhant's face at all. And I forgot to mention it. But
Let's do a picture. Let's stop the recording and then we can proceed with the questions. Is that fine?
yeah, for the questions in the chat, maybe the speakers can just look at them whenever they have time later. But before the meeting gets over, so like in the next 5 to 6 minutes, I guess.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And yes, and then we can now take a picture with it.
Yes. We just stand here.
People who are on Zoom, if you can turn on your camera.
Yeah.
Yes,
it'd be
that.
awesome.
I see Nikhil. Hi, Nikhil.
Okay, is everyone in?
Yes.
Cool. 1, 2, 3, trees. Okay, just one more for safety. Joe, stay there. 1, 2, 3, trees. Okay, thank you.
I think the picture of